The sun was setting as Rex was bringing in his last passenger train of the day. It was calm out, and the slight gust of wind made everyone feel happy and cheerful. Soon they came to a passing loop, where one train has to wait for another one to pass. Tonight, though, Rex was the only one out, so he didn't need to stop. As they passed the spot, though, one passenger called out, "Did you see that? I saw a wolf out there!" "A wolf?" cried another passenger. "There are no wolves out here." "Well, I saw one," said the passenger, "and it could see us too." Rex was curious. In all the years he had been working for the Arlesdale Miniature Railway, he and the other engines had never seen a wolf before. So where did this one come from? After arriving at the terminus with the Northwestern and shunting his coaches away, Rex returned to the sheds. There, he found the other engines listening to the radio while their crews cleaned them down. "Hey, you lot, you won't believe this, but one of my passengers said they saw." But Rex was interrupted by a buzzing sound on the radio, followed by an announcement. "Attention all residents of Soder, there's been a breakout at the local zoo and several animals have escaped. Park rangers have been able to capture the bears and one of the tigers, but there are still 3 tigers on the loose and 1 gray wolf. If you see them, do not approach them. Stay far back and call for the park rangers or police." "Well, that explains it," said Rex driver. "Explains what?" asked Mike with a raised eyebrow. Rex told the engines about what the passengers saw during the trip. "It must be the escaped wolf from the zoo, but it's a little far off from its home, don't you think?" "Wolves are known to travel great distances till they find a place they can call home," said Bert's driver. "Well, I hope it doesn't come anywhere near us," said Bert with worry. Mike started to laugh. "Ha! Oh, come on, Bert. Don't tell me you're actually scared of a silly little doggy. All you got to do is blow your whistle and they run off, whining as they go." Rex raised an eyebrow. "You've done that before, haven't you?" "A fair number of times if a dog is going to misbehave. I'm not afraid of them, unlike scared little Bert here." Bert was cross and refused to speak with Mike for the rest of the night. As dawn broke the next morning, Bert's driver arrived to get him fired up. "We're to take the first passenger train of the day, Bert," he whispered, "so let's get you ready for work." "Whatever you say, driver," Bert yawned. He opened his eyes briefly, but then went back to sleep. Mike was awake at this time and saw the perfect chance to have a laugh. Bert's fire was soon lit, and he had a good head of steam. His driver was just about to wake him up when suddenly, "Wolf! Wolf!" Bert cried out in shock, and his whistle suddenly went off, waking all the other engines up. "Oh, what's going on?" groaned Rex. Bert's driver let go of the cord. "Sorry, everyone. I got startled by someone's loud shouting, and I fell, grabbing the whistle cord as I did." He then glared at Mike. "That was not funny." "I thought it was," snickered Mike. Jock let out an angry yawn. "We're trying to sleep, Mike, so shut up." Mike subsided into silence, for the time being. Later on, Bert was at the water tower having his tenor filled up. Mike saw this, and as he was collecting his ballast wagons from a nearby siding, he suddenly cried out, "Look out, Bert! The wolf is behind you!" "What?" exclaimed Bert, and before his driver could stop him, he lurched forwards. The water pipe fell out of the tenor and water sprayed onto the tracks. Bert's driver stopped him, then went to turn off the water. He looked around. "There are no wolves around here." "Mike, cut that out," snapped Bert, but Mike didn't. Bert soon pulled into the station with his coaches. Passengers from Oliver's Connection were just about to get on board when Mike shouted, "Run! Run! There's a wolf about!" The passengers started running around frantically, and Bert yelped. The driver sighed and pulled on the whistle chain. This made everyone look towards him. There is no wolf nearby. It's just the red engine who cried wolf. Everyone glared at Mike as he puffed past, chuckling at his own wit. "That Mike's got the nerve to pull pranks like that," said Oliver. Bert was quick to agree. "Oh, I would love to see how Mike would deal with a wolf. Then we'll see who's the real scaredy engine there." But he wouldn't have to wait too long. Mike was getting close to the passing loop where Rex and his passengers spotted the wolf the night before. He was still chuckling to himself. "That was funny. That was funny. Maybe next time I'll say the wolf is in one of Bert's carriages and see what happens there." As they came into the siding, Mike's driver suddenly slammed on the brakes. "What did you do that for?" Mike demanded crossly. His driver pointed ahead and Mike looked. There, not too far from them, was a gray wolf. They stopped with feet to spare. The wolf snarled at Mike, but he wasn't afraid of the animal. He knew what to do. He reached his steam and blasted his shrill whistle at the wolf. He even shouted, "Get out of here, you dumb animal!" Instead of running away, the wolf stood its ground and snarled at Mike again. "Oh, a tough guy, eh? We'll see about that." Mike whistled, shouted, and wished again, but the wolf didn't turn and run off. Instead, the snarls turned to angry barks. Suddenly, Mike wasn't feeling brave. "Go on, Mike. Encourage his driver. You said it yourself. It's just a harmless doggy, right? Go away, dog." "Really? That's how you're going to get it to leave? I thought you said you knew how to handle creatures like this." I do, but this one is quite stubborn. The wolf barked at Mike. That did it. He was so scared that he begged his driver to back him to the last station. His driver radioed down the line, then reversed Mike away from the wolf. Bert was waiting at the station when Mike arrived. Mike, what are you doing? Shouldn't you be showing us all how a brave engine like yourself can handle a wolf? But Mike didn't answer. Bert smirked. So much for being the brave one out of all of us. Oh well, we'll take care of it. Mike gasped. But Bert, you'll never be able to scare it away. It'll snarl at you, bark at you, and may even attack you. Only if I provoke it like you did. But luckily, we happen to have one of the zookeepers on our train, so it'll be no trouble at all. They uncoupled Bert from the coaches. Then once the zookeeper had climbed into the tender, Bert puffed off towards the passing loop. The wolf was still there when Bert puffed up. He slowed to a stop and tried to be as quiet as he could. The zookeeper climbed out of the tender and slowly made her way towards the wolf. It barked and snarled at the zookeeper at first, but she had food on hand, and after some time and speaking kindly to it, it calmed down. She's usually a quiet, calm wolf, the zookeeper explained. Normally it just goes about its enclosure at the zoo without making any snarls or do any barking, so this was a first today. Bert couldn't help but chuckle. I bet Mike's wishing we had gone before him. I guess so, old boy smiled at his driver as he grabbed the radio. Mike was still at the station, refusing to move a wheel. Over the radio, he and his driver heard Bert's driver call to control and asking for a cage. It soon passed on a flatbed being pushed by Frank. Frank didn't say anything, but he did smirk at Mike. A short while later, Frank passed with the zookeeper and the cage wolf. Its eyes looked to Mike. The red engine looked away instantly. After Frank had gone, Bert returned to collect his train. There you go, Mike. Should be a smooth run from here on out. I'd be careful, though, if I were you. There are still 3 tigers on the loose. I do hope you'll know how to handle them. After all, they are just harmless kitty cats. Mike said nothing and puffed away with his dignity shattered.